Now that we've heard something of Chopin's accompaniments, we should consider his melodies as well. Here we find something curious. I said earlier that Chopin's music is idiomatically suited to the piano, that it is conceived with the specific qualities of the instrument in mind. That's true, but with Chopin's melodies there is another source of inspiration, the human voice. Many of Chopin's most appealing melodies might as well be songs or even opera arias. Consider the start of Chopin's Nocturne in E-flat major, Opus 9, No. 2. Now, there's nothing especially pianistic about that melody. It doesn't utilize the finger's capacity for sweeping up the keyboard in a rush of scales. It doesn't double the notes of the melody to produce harmonies, something easily done on the piano. But even with the few large intervals it contains, it is eminently singable. Try it yourself. Chopin's students tell us that he emphasized a singing quality of tone production. We also know that he attended the operas of Rossini and other Italian composers. Chopin's taste in melody was obviously influenced by the style of bel canto singing, cultivated by Italian composers and performers early in the 19th century. Bel canto, literally beautiful voice, combined exquisite melodies that seemed to float on air with a florid style of melodic embellishment. Chopin's writing often seems to translate this style to the piano. In his music, like the passage we just heard, we find Chopin embellishing his melodies in a manner comparable to bel canto singing. To give you an idea of what I mean, let's listen to the same melody we just heard when it returns later in the Nocturne. Notice the flashes of melodic ornamentation, the runs, trills, and turns that now decorate the melodic line. Toward the end of the same piece, Chopin pauses for a little cadenza-like embellishment that is entirely operatic in character. Melodic embellishments sometimes take on a life of their own, becoming not merely ornamentation, but the main substance of the composer's invention. That's the case in the closing moments of the A-flat major Ballade. Song-like themes are one type of melody we find in Chopin's music, and an important one. But there are others. Often his themes have the character of dance. This is not only true of his waltzes and mazurkas, where we would naturally expect this, but also in pieces like the Ballade. A number of Chopin's melodies have the character of marches. These can be slow and mournful in the manner of a funeral dirge, or more spirited and stirring. The Fantasy in F minor, Opus 49, provides examples of each. Its opening passage presents a kind of melancholy march. Chopin ends this piece, however, with a march of clearly triumphal character. Another type of melody Chopin wrote could be called the virtuoso theme. This is based neither on song nor on dance, but on brilliant keyboard figuration. The main theme of the C-sharp minor impromptu could hardly be danced to or sung. It is, however, perfectly suited to the piano and in fact begins as a flurry of notes performable only on the piano. Notice in that example that the rapidly moving theme unfolded over a characteristically wide-stepping accompaniment figure. Chopin could combine his different types of melody with various left-hand patterns, and he seems always to have found the perfect accompaniment for the occasion. But the textures of Chopin's piano music entail more than just melody and accompaniment patterns, even when these are conceived in fresh and original ways. In sharp contrast to the fluid texture we just heard is the characteristically romantic sound that Chopin employs with great effectiveness, chords reverberating with what seems great passion. The Ballade in A-flat provides an example. Closely related to those sequences of throbbing chords are Chopin's use of a series of chords that seem to cascade across the keyboard. This technique gives the impression of surging power. At times, Chopin's writing draws exceptional musical colors from the piano. A favorite of mine is the bright hue of the instrument's upper register, which Chopin could make glitter like no other composer, except perhaps his friend Liszt. On the other end of the spectrum of piano color is Chopin's use of the low register, from which he drew dark, rich timbres. The central episode in the Prelude in D-flat, for example, uses the bass part of the instrument exclusively with chilling effect. In this next example, from the A-flat Ballade, a sinuous line in the left hand pulls the music's center of gravity into the low register, producing another unusual effect. The expanded use of the high and low registers is only one of the resources for producing the rich colors that Chopin developed. Often the shape of his lines serve the same end. In particular, Chopin's melodic embellishments often seem like flashes of sonic color. Even more remarkable is the way Chopin used harmony as a source of musical color. In the introductory measures of the Barcarolle, for example, the harmonies don't have direction towards a strongly felt goal, as they do in the music of the classical period. Instead, they seem to hang shimmering in musical space. This is something quite new in Western music, a true innovation of the Romantic era and its most inventive composer. No composer had ever grasped so completely the full range of sounds that could be obtained from the piano. Although he sometimes concentrates his writing at either the upper or lower end of the piano's range, Chopin is most characteristic when using the entire keyboard. In this passage from the Ballade, he seems to revel in ranging over the entire instrument.